The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
So on our Thursday Dialogue today, I want us to really take some time to reflect on what transpired at Maponya Mall about a week ago, but I'm not limiting it to that. I really want to ask why government has failed to deal effectively with the violence and tensions between e-hailing drivers and taxi operators. Why do you think this has been difficult to resolve? There are violent clashes between taxi operators and e-hailing drivers that exploded last week after tensions saw an e-hailing driver killed. There are 2 e-hailing vehicles that were burnt outside Maponya Mall as well. And a driver was murdered, and his vehicle was set alight outside the Soweto Mall. A passerby and a second driver sustained gunshot wounds, and they were taken to hospital. And what this incident has done now is spark outrage in that community, and that has resulted in protests around the mall where the incident occurred. The Gauteng Roads and Transport MEC, Kidibone Diale Tlabela, has since promised to resolve tensions between e-hailing drivers and taxi operators. But there are interventions that have been made before in the past. Why did those not work? Has government failed here to even implement some of the laws and regulations that exist? We have invited Graham Fritz, who is the Secretary of Santaco in Gauteng, to join this conversation with us. We've got Lesiba Mpia as well, who is with the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport, and Melithemba Mnguni, who is the Secretary General of the E-Hailing Partners Council. I want to start off with you as Santaco, Graham. Thank you for making time for us. As Santaco, what have been, because I do remember that we've covered several meetings between taxi drivers, e-hailing, taxi operators, e-hailing drivers. There have been meetings that have been held with the government, some interventions. There were laws that were introduced to try and deal with the tensions. Why are we still not finding a resolution to these concerns that have since been raised a while back? Graham, I think you may be muted.
Good afternoon, Clement.
Sure.
And
go ahead.
thank you. Good afternoon, Clement, and good afternoon to all the listeners. And thank you for the opportunity, Clement, and also good afternoon to my colleagues in the meeting. And let me start, Clement, by saying condolences to the family for the person that has passed on. And we wishing, as Santaco, we wishing everything of the best for the family with the funeral and all the arrangements around it, as well as our best wishes and recovery to all the people that has been injured in this unfortunate incident. Yeah, Lesiba, at the moment, and according to our knowledge and according to our agreements, there shouldn't be any tiff between the e-hailers and the taxi industry. We have come to an agreement as Santaco, and also at the malls, all those arrangements has been made. So to us, it's quite a surprise, and we are honestly, this, as I say, it's a big surprise to us that this has happened. Everything has been done, all agreements has been agreed to, and resolutions has been resolved. So honestly, this one to us, it's a very big surprise, Clement. Thank you.
Okay, but what are the issues? Because I don't think it's true, Graham, that there are no issues between taxi drivers and e-hailing drivers. In fact, the residents of Soweto have pushed out taxi last week. I remember the residents didn't even want taxis in the area because they said, you guys are putting pressure on them. You're trying to choose which mode of transport they must go with. So I don't think it's necessarily true that there are no disagreements. So if there's a resolution, why are residents then saying that taxi operators that are actually trying to determine for them what mode of transport to use?
Yeah. As I said, I'm not aware of that, but the agreement is that the e-hailers has got a specific spot where they have to drop off and pick off people. And let's go especially to Maponya Mall. It's a circle in front of one of the entrances, and there's an elephant there. So everybody goes there, and then they drop, the e-hailer goes and drop their people off there and pick up the people that has requested rides from there. So what's really happened there, as I say, I don't know, and we are surprised. If that has happened because of the taxi industry, as I said, we are not aware of it.
All right. Let me bring in Melithemba Mguni, who's the Secretary General of the E-Hailing Partners Council. Melithemba, Santaco is saying there are no issues here. Then why do we see some e-hailing operators and drivers complain sometimes about the pressure and the harassment that they get from the taxi operators? How do you see it? Do you agree with Graham that there are no issues here?
Unfortunately not. I think that's where the inconsistency is between what's happening on the ground and what is understood by the leadership at the top. The reality is that I can give you a list, apart from Maponya Mall, a list of places where e-hailers are not allowed to operate. They are denied access to those areas. Maponya Mall, the circuit that Mr. Graham is referring to, it's there. That was the circuit that was dedicated for e-hailing, but practically it hasn't been happening. Hence the impatience that you saw in Soweto, where the residents were saying that this has been promised to us, that the e-hailers will be allowed to pick up at this spot, but it is not happening. Hence, even the banning of the cars happens. That's where the e-hailers would drop off and pick off at the traffic light by the gate there. So there is that different understanding from the leadership and what is happening on the ground. And I must say that also this is an issue that is this is something that has become lucrative for those that are operating on the ground. There are those that are doing this out of hate or animosity. There are those that are doing this for financial gains because they make a lot of money. They confiscate these cars and then they make demands of extortions and they make a lot of money out of it, and it keeps motivating them. And also the other issue of no consequences for them. Because like we were having just the protest march where we were saying, let there be law enforcement. The department got the taxi violence policing unit. Let that unit be deployed in these areas. We call them the hotspots, no-go areas. They are there, they are not.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's why I was a bit surprised when Graham says there have been agreements. Lesiba, maybe let's bring you in here. Lesiba Mpia, who is with the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. Are you aware of any agreements, and what do they entail? And if really there are agreements, why then would the e-hailing drivers say there's still no-go zones and sometimes they get harassed by taxi operators?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me also start by sending a message of condolences to the family that has lost their loved one. Speedy recovery to those that are recovering in hospital. What we are aware of is that there has been a recognition that the Section 66 of the National Land Transport Act had to have a provision that gives, provision for the e-hailing to operate in South Africa, because that piece of legislation was restricted to what we formerly know as metered taxis.
Which now, piece of legislation is that? Is that the National Land Transport Act?
It is the National Land Transport Act as enacted in 2009. The shortcoming is that when the boom happened in 2011 and 2012, we must concede that government was not ready for the growth of the e-hailing service. So for the past 10 years or so, the fourth and the fifth parliament was seized with the work of bringing about an amendment to the legislation that allows or provides for the e-hailing to actually be recognized by law. And you would know, Clement, that it was signed into law by the president in 2024. It currently awaits the final regulations to be completed by the minister and therefore to be given to provinces. But here's my response as I respond to you directly. There is no no-go area and there shouldn't be. But what is a disparity is that the cordial relationship we have with the stakeholders, both the provincial leadership as well as the e-hailing provincial leadership, might not translate into the same harmony to the ground situation. And it would be remiss of me to then be certain or speak with certainty that the incident that happened at Maponya should directly point to the taxi industry. It is alleged, it is unacceptable as it is. However, we are also brought to the attention of the fact that the fragmentation of the e-hailing services itself brings about many challenges. It brings about intra-challenges within itself.
Yeah.
So where I stand as government, I think we want to treat the matter with sensitivity while acknowledging that there are allegations that are made, and we know that those allegations are currently being tested. But we don't have, and we shouldn't have, a no-go area for anyone.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we have engaged the...
You've engaged
Yes.
who?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, we have engaged the mall facilities that they should be able to, within their planning, make provisions for access. There shouldn't be a mall that does not have access of e-hailing services, much as they have holding area for the taxi operators.
Okay. I mean, there are no-go areas, unfortunately, Lisiba, and there is harassment that continues. And I bet you if I open the lines to people who have been told by e-hailing drivers, come sit in the front because I'm so scared if you sit at the back, people will call in and tell you of their experiences. Here's my question around the regulations we are waiting for. Will those deal with price setting? Because that seemed to be one of the biggest areas of dispute here. Because the price, there's a complaint that with e-hailing drivers, the price is set automatically by the system. So app owners who want to incentivize the market, they can do so by just lowering the price and to maintain service as a competitive market. Would the regulations deal with that concern that's been raised? Because how are you regulating the pricing?
Yes, of course. Melitemba would know that he and the constituency would have made submissions to the regulations themselves. Actually, they were published in 2023 draft regulations, and they do take into account the pricing matter, or rather the fare matter, because we refer to it. Well, as Gauteng, we then went an extra mile of putting about, systems. We have a proof of concept of what we refer to as the integrated fare management, meaning that we, Premier Panyaza Lesotho would have spoken much about a single ticketing system. Within that integrated system, we would want to regulate, as empowered by law, by the way, to regulate prices of each and every mode of transport, be it taxi, be it bus, but the regulation should sit with us as government. I must say that the frustration of the e-hailing services is the when this is going to come into effect, and it is acknowledged. And I must agree with you, Clement, that much as we say that there shouldn't be no-go areas, the practicality is that the public is feeling the wrath of it. And that is what we have brought to the attention of the taxi industry, to say, speak to your constituency, because what they are doing is illegal. We've seen video footages of evidence where people have been harassed, where people have been taken out of their families. You can't even travel to a funeral out of the province as a family, because there is what is known as taxi marshals that will not allow you to drive through their designated area of operation, and which is what we have condemned. With the contempt it is, but it has gone beyond that. The MEC does not only speak to condemnation, but she has put together a 100-strong team to deal against conflict that are within the transport sector.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that we can start seeing the results of that. And you'll explain to us maybe after the break how that 100-strong team, what exactly it's going to do. It's 23 after 11 o'clock. When we come back, I'll get Graham. I'll give him an opportunity to respond, bring back Melithemba and Lesiba. I want to hear from you as well. So give us a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. How do we bring to an end these clashes between taxi operators and e-hailing drivers? You can forget about what happened at Maponya Mall. Broadly, you see the harassment. We see the videos. The tensions are there. There are disagreements. The sad thing is that is leading to people dying. That's unacceptable. That's leading to violence. That's leading to people not exercising their autonomy and deciding what mode of transport they want to use, because there are people out there who want to decide for themselves what mode of transport to use. It's unacceptable. How do we bring that to an end? It's 24 after 11.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
28 minutes after 11 o'clock. I'll come to your calls and WhatsApps after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines, because we are getting closer to that. Let me bring in Graham first, who's the Secretary of Santaco in Gauteng. Graham, what are the issues that you have? So you said that there's an agreement. Maybe you can just expand more on what the agreement has been. But in as far as issues that Lesiba mentioned around, for instance, price setting, the need to regulate the prices, are you comfortable with that at Santaco? The regulation of prices across the board, e-hailing, taxi operators as well?
Hi, thank you, Clement. Yes, that would really be welcome, Clement, to regulate the industry, transport industry as such. We are also in the process of going cashless, and we'd appreciate if we can use one ticket system for everybody, where we start with the ride from the e-hailers, taking people to the taxi ranks, and then the ranks then to maybe Gauteng and such, even to Prasa, and then on the other side again at the place of work they do the same. So we are really looking at that, and that would really be helped, and then the regulation would assist us by doing that as such.
Melithemba, would that work for you as e-hailing partners? Yes,
it should work, but I must make it clear that the integration system that Mr. Lesiba is referring to does cover the ticketing system, not the fares in particular. And what we are asking for is not far-fetched, but rather there in the Act. NLTA, section 66, subsection 3. It says the minister or MEC in consultation with the relevant planning may determine a fare structure for meter taxi services, and the MEC must publish the fare structure in the public, in the provincial gazette. I'm sorry. So that is what we are asking for in terms of the pricing, the amount to be charged, because right now there is what they call dynamic pricing, where you are not certain of the prices. There is a commission that is not clear and so forth. Those are the issues that are there now. And the act that we are referring to, it is the act that is there, not the new regulation that is referring to. Currently, the MEC is given that authority with the NLTA 2009, and that's what we are asking for, with the understanding that there is new regulation, but we are asking for this in particular. And I'm sure when you were listening to Mr. Lesiba earlier saying there are no-go areas for on their side, that's what we have been in pains with. Trying to liaise with the department, and this the attitude that we get. And as long as we don't diagnose the issues and accept them, we will not come up with the appropriate remedies. I must agree with Graham in terms of the leadership of Santaco. We've been in talks with them. The understanding from their side, they are not the ones that agree with what is happening on the ground. And there is people that are taking opportunity of the lack of law enforcement within the ground, and they use that to go and perpetuate this. Hence, we are asking for law enforcement to take care of that. The leadership of Santaco, we've been in talks with them, and they don't condone such. It is the law enforcement that needs to deal with these issues. But there is that denial that is there to accept these issues. Hence, we find ourselves in such a situation.
Yeah, it's 11:32 now.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
23 minutes before 12 o'clock on our Thursday Dialogue this morning, we are having a conversation about what needs to be done to end the tensions and the disagreements, which often sometimes lead to violence and harassment sometimes, between the e-hailing drivers and the taxi operators. Can the violent clashes really come to an end? What is it going to take? What do you think government has failed to do to rein in and try and regulate and resolve these issues? We've got Graham Fritz, who is with Santaco. Lisiba Mpia is with the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. And Melithemba Mnguni is with the E-Hailing Partners Council. I'm going to take your calls now, and then I'll go to Lisiba in a moment. 011-883-0702. Sanele in Soweto, let's start with you. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm good. Sanele here from Soweto. We condemn what had happened in Soweto in line with the e-hailing. But what we need to do as a society, we need to be fair and be honest about what is happening on the ground. Because even I also foresee another war whereby the e-hailers will be fighting amongst themselves. If you go to most of the malls, you will realize that there are those guys who now do not use the app to get their customers. But instead, they will just approach everybody who's coming with groceries and approach them, try to compare the prices. And in a nutshell, you could see that they are acting as taxi drivers because they are the one abashela customer to give them a transport. And I think that's one of the frustrations that even the e-hailers are not talking about. People are not using app. The e-hailers are now not going to the app to get their customers. They approach people. So some use cars that are not even legitimate to be in an e-hailing system. Yes.
Yeah.
Those what frustrate the taxi drivers out there, because Sanelo will not go to a taxi. They will even ask, how much is the app charging you? If the app says 50 rand, they will say, offer me 30 rand and take me to the destination.
Yeah, so you're not allowing the people to book for themselves on the app. I got you, Sanelo. I'll get them to respond to that. Tebogo and Ramsa, hi.
Morning, Clement. I think also on what Sanele said, I'm going to differ with that before I make my point quickly. How do you confirm that those guys who are collecting customers by hand are e-hailers? Because now what he's saying now is talking about something different, which is not confirmed. He doesn't know that those guys are e-hailers. He doesn't know if they have apps. So I don't think it's going to be fair to say those are e-hailers. My point is, what happened in Maponya, it happened, I think, a couple of years ago in Soshanguve, when a young man lost his life also. I think, if I stand to be corrected, his car was burned as well. He was still a student due to a taxi incident as well. My issue with Santaco is that they are not dealing with their patrollers, and they keep now running away from their responsibility. They keep saying when they come on TV and radio, they keep saying there are no go areas. Clement, I own a fleet of e-hailing cars. There's a lot of no-go areas, especially in the township, which is very sad. In the suburbs, these guys, they can go to any mall. They go to any mall, even those malls where there's a taxi rank next to. They would still go into that mall and pick up. The issue is the township. What is happening in the township? And the Santaco guys, they are very much aware. I mean, I pay almost every every day, one of my drivers, they would pay 100 or 200 every day to these patrollers because they are asking them for a permit, which we don't have permit.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. Issue of permits as well. I'll put that to Lesiba. Let's go to Tabang. Tabang, hi. You are calling from Kempton Park.
Yes. Hi, Clement.
Sure.
The challenge that we have, it is a taxi. They are a problem to everybody, not only e-hailing drivers. Even if I'm taking my family, they are coming to terrorize us. Even if I pick up somebody that I see that is an elderly woman, I find challenges. So it's not about the regulation. It's about the bullying that the taxi they are doing to the society. And they don't want to admit that. It's not about e-hailing or regulation. Even if I'm driving my personal car, I have to prove that this is my wife. I need to kiss that to show that this is my wife. I'm not taking their customers. As people, we have rights to take any car that we want. So that's why I'm just commenting on this to say it's not about the regulation, but it is about the taxi people who doesn't want to admit what they are doing is wrong and terrorizing the society. As even if you are a passenger or you are driving your personal car, it's a problem. If I go to Santim to take a house train, I'm told that I can't get a car. My family cannot pick me up here. I have to walk somewhere far meters to get my auntie to come and pick me up.
Sure. Yeah, Tabang, unacceptable. Thank you for that in Kempton Park. Let me get them to my guests to respond. Lesiba, let me start with you. You can respond to what has been raised so far, but I'm more interested in the issue of permits, that now you've got these patrollers that are working with the taxi operators saying, do you even have a permit to exist here? Is that a requirement from the e-hailing drivers that they must somehow have permits as if they are taxi operators?
Yes, actually, the National Land Transport Act is very explicit that if you are going to operate the vehicle in exchange for monetary compensation, it is a requirement of you to possess a operating license.
Is it sectional?
But the
or
operating license...
Is it a standard permit or is it just an operating license? Because there are certain areas that the e-hailing drivers are saying, you don't have a permit to operate in this section of town or township.
Yes, no. It is standard. It's a requirement. It's a prerequisite. It's non-negotiable. It's recognized by law, the operating license, referred to as permits in other pockets of society. But how the law or the legislation defines it, it says that everyone who operates a motor vehicle in exchange for funds or for compensation must possess an operating license. The regime is in this fashion, Clement. The problem is that people buy cars before they get an operating license, whereas you are supposed to apply and get approved for the operating license before you can put the vehicle on the ground. And that is, we must concede that from a law enforcement point of view, we have been very laxed as government. But the issue is that by the time you must enforce, the sanction also becomes that you must, pound a vehicle. And this is where we're trying to find each other with the sector to say, be compliant, go and at least demonstrate on the ground with the police officer who has a discretion to let you go or not. But at least be able to demonstrate that you are in the process of application. That's what the new regulation, even the old legislation before it was amended, brought into being. That if you don't have an operating license, you are in contravention. People then, think that the receipt is the operating license, and at that point it becomes the discretion of the police officer to say the law says I must look and verify the legitimacy and validity of an operating license.
Okay.
But I think I must also respond to Melitemba just in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I've never said that there's no go area. I said there should not be, but the reality on the ground is that there is. And what are we doing as government? There's a force multiplier of boots on the ground that we've put up. Because one of the issues is that these cries are not only coming from the e-hailing, service. They are coming from normal members of society who are saying that I am being taken out of this e-hailing service and being forced into a taxi, and that is unacceptable. We've brought this to the attention of the leadership, and we've told them that we are now using the law against the people who are perpetuating this type of
Let me quickly get Graham and Melithemba to respond. Melithemba, let's start with you. Are you aware of, because the complaint here is that sometimes as e-hailing drivers, you approach customers directly. I've seen this like at the airport, for instance, where people come to you, but I guess there it's different because you don't really have taxi operators operating in that area. But do you do that, and is that fair to the taxi operators? Because then that would mean you approach us as customers coming out of the mall before we even go to the taxi rank or the area where the taxis are located. Yeah,
yes, there are such incidents happening, but what I need to discredit is to say those are e-hailers. And I don't want to deny and say e-hailers are not involved in that, but you must understand that we've got meter taxis that have ran out of business because of the introduction of e-hailing, and they are finding means to keep in business. So to level that to the e-hailers then becomes unfair. And then coming to the issue of the operators with what Mr. Lesiba has just said, what we are referring to, where he says the NLTA is explicit in terms of the operating license. What we are also asking for in terms of the fair determination and the categories, it is also explicit the same way, but they go on to choose what suits them. And the issue of operating licenses, like he's saying, it's not negotiable. Hence, we've been fighting on our side to say, let's address the backlog. If you look at the backlog, it's sitting at thousands. And the other issue that we have is a narrative that points at e-hailers as operating illegally. E-hailing was made legally in 2016 through a practice note, recognized as a meter taxis. The very same operating licenses that are required are for the meter taxis. The issue of not complying, it's abroad within the transport sector. The backlog, he may give you the statistics, you realize the taxis as well are struggling to get their operating license. E-hailers themselves, the meter taxis, we are all struggling to get these operating licenses, which becomes a challenge on our side. Hence, we're pushing for them to say, let's have these operating licenses. Now, I need to come to an issue where we are accusing the Santaco and those that are committing these crimes, bullying people. We may not expect someone who is a criminal to self-correct themselves. That's why we've got law enforcement. That's why we've got government. On the very same NLTA, you look at section 9 and 10, the responsibility of the MEC, and then section 66, you'd realize the responsibility that is given to make sure that passengers and operators are protected to provide their services. And that's what we are asking for, to say, let the law enforcement take charge. Because these perpetrators of this violence and harassment are doing this because there are no consequences for them.
Got it then. And Graham, just quickly to respond to the issue of consequences, because you can't also, as Santaco, when there are violence reported, bullying and harassment reported, and you come and say, well, we're not aware of that, we just condemn it. What are you doing as Santaco to rein in the patrollers that you have on the roads? Because those are the people that are harassing even ordinary motorists.
Yeah, thank you, Clement. Clement, as you are aware, that there are a lot of people out there that's also doing this kind of thing because they've seen there's a market for them to come and extort money from people. So we are getting a lot where people are stopping e-hailers, even the normal community as such, and extorting money from them. So our request is that if anybody gets such stoppages, they must please contact the nearest association. They've got their right, and it is a South African right in our constitution, it says that you are not allowed to do that. You have the right to go and report it at the police station. Let law enforcement take its course.
Got it.
When we do get such incidences, Clement, just from the Santaco side, when we do get such incidents, and we do get a lot, to be honest, I'm getting a lot as a taxi associate Santaco. We do get a lot, and we do speak to our associations in that area and to go and check what is happening there, if it is true or false. If we do get that it is happening, we discipline that patrollers. But it is very rare, to be honest, very, very minimal that it is our people. As I say, there's people out there that are extortionists, and they've seen the gap, and they are doing that.
It's 8 minutes before 12.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
It's going up to 5 minutes before 12.
Clement, I stand to differ with that gentleman for the taxis. They are just bullies. They are law unto himself. There is a statement that is being said by Mpumalanga taxi whoever, who was saying no one must take their business. They are going to fight fire with fire. So if such statements are being made and they come to the radio to say there is allegations and everything, I think our government is also failing us. These people, they cannot just be law unto themselves and harass even us for the cars that we paid for. We never said to them they must go and buy the taxis. Everyone is experiencing financial crisis. So that's their business, not our business.
Mohau from Germiston. I was an Uber driver or Bolt driver a few years ago, and one of the reasons why I stopped doing this kind of work was because of the being chased around malls like Greenstone and all the other malls, having to defend and sway, putting myself and my passengers in danger. My question to your panelists is, what about a taxi industry ombud, where things like this can be ironed out consistently? Because talking about legislative laws and this, it doesn't work. We need boots on the ground to stop the killing of people.
Yeah, Lisiba spoke about the 100-member team. And Lisiba, maybe you can respond to that voice note. A taxi ombud, is that what would be necessary? And that 100-strong member team, what are they going to be doing on the ground? I've got only 30 seconds.
So, the ombud is possibly a great idea. It must cut across the entire sector, but we do have a tribunal that facilitates over conflicts and so forth. But in terms of the 100-member team, actually, to be precise, there are 96. They were given a task to actually go out there and protect the public. A task actually to deal with bullying within our streets. We are not going to cower and watch and continue to watch when communities are being terrorized. But we must say that we do have a very solid relationship with the leadership of the Gauteng taxi industry, including the e-hailer services. But we are certain that that team, led by a capable woman, Director Sapepa, is out on the ground. As soon as recent as yesterday, we were at Southgate. And the issues that have been elevated in this interview of people who are masquerading as e-hailers or, taxi leadership, taking people with their private cars. As it is, you go to Southgate, there's maximum deployment, including all other malls that are being earmarked as hotspots. So we are going to go out there and protect the public.
All right, got it. Lisiba Mpia, spokesperson for the Gauteng Department of Roads and Transport. Thanks for your time.